Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Target 100 in Mathematics by Shivesh Kumar Singh. And today we are going to learn about how to find the domain. Okay, let's start the topic. First of all, we'll see what is the meaning of domain. I think I have told you in my another video also, but just for a revision only. Domain means it is the value of x for what function can be defined. Okay, so just you remember one thing, that domain means the value of x in the given functions for which the function can be defined. Okay, now we will see two methods to find the domain. First will be algebraic method. Algebraic method means where function will be given to you. For example, suppose we have x upon x minus 1, something like this function will be given to you, and depending on certain conditions and definitions we will see how to find the domain. Okay, this thing we'll see in the detail, how to find the domain by algebraic method. And the second method will be graphical method. For example, here one graph can be given to you, and then you will have to find the domain of the given function based on the given graph. This will be very easy for you to understand. So let's start with the graphical method. Okay, now for example, if we want to find domain of this function, okay, so what you can see here, that this function is defined for all values of x, because this is the line. So is there any reason for x you can see where x cannot be defined, or you can we find any part in the graph where function cannot be defined for x? There is no part where x cannot be undefined. Okay, so see here, like from here it can go down also, and it is going up also without any problem. So what you can see here, its domain is capital R. Capital R means all real numbers. Okay, and there are many ways to write this. There are a set of real numbers, or you can write it as open interval minus infinity to infinity. Okay, like this also you can write, no problem in this. So with the help of this graph, you see how easily we can find the graph, find the range of the function. For example, see, we need to find graph of this function. So what you can see here, where function is undefined for this graph, can we have any value of x for which it is undefined? You see, this is from -1. Okay, so it is turning from -1. So -1, it is going up, means it is covering all positive x, and from here it is covering all negative x. So in short, you can say that it is covering all values of x. So again, its domain will be R, means set of all real numbers minus infinity to plus infinity, open interval. Okay, now again we will see this graph. So what you can see here, now can we have some restrictions here on the graph? Here you can see graph is defined for more than 1. Yes, for more than 1 it is defined, but for less than, sorry, for 0, for x more than 0 it is defined, but for less than 0 it is not defined. Yes, or you can say it is not going towards the negative side of x. So what you can see here, graph, since graph can be defined only for x greater than or equal to 0, so its domain will be R plus including 0, or you can say x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, why equal to 0? Because there you can see function is defined for equal to 0 as well, because it is touching y-axis. So for y-axis, value of x will become 0. So its domain will be all positive real numbers, or you can say for the negative values of x, function is not defined, so it will not be the part of domain. Now what else we can have? Let's talk about this graph. Now you can see here, for this part of the graph, function is defined for all positive x, and for this part of the graph, function is defined for all negative values of x. Okay, so where it is not defined, it is not defined only for x is equal to 0. Why it is not defined? Because it is not touching y-axis here. Okay, so its domain will be what? Its domain will be all real numbers except 0. Except 0 means -0. Okay, like this you can write here, or you can write like this also, minus infinity to 0, open interval, union 0 to infinity. Like this, 0 will not be counted in this. Okay. Now, let's talk about some algebraic method for the functions. For example, algebraic method means before solving the questions, we'll see what type of functions can create problem in finding with the algebraic method. So, first one is if you have any rational function like this, fx upon gx type function. So, when it will be defined, it cannot be defined if gx is equal to 0. Okay. So, function will not be defined, any rational function will not be defined if its denominator becomes 0. Okay. So, see here I have written cannot be defined. So, that's what I have written equal to 0. So, we'll solve the questions accordingly. And second type of function which will create the problem will be square root of fx. Okay. So, square root of fx will not be real, cannot be real if fx will be negative. You have studied these things before also, not for the function but for the real numbers, that inside the square root function you cannot have negative real numbers. So, if fx is less than 0, then function will not be real. You will not say that it is not defined, you will write it is not real because it can be defined as a complex number. So, we will discuss in another video. Okay. So far these are the two conditions, these are the two functions which can create problem. First is when you have a rational function, then denominator will be 0, function will be undefined. And if you have a square root function, then if inside the square root sign you have negative number, then function will be undefined. Okay. Now, let's see about the method how to find the domain. So, what you will do as the first step you will do find all values of x, find all values of x for which fx cannot be defined. Fx cannot be defined. Okay. And then what you will do as the second step? In the second step, as the second step, what you will do here? You will just remove, before this question, let's complete this. If any such value of x, then remove from R. Okay, and the remaining set will be domain. Here R means set of real numbers. Okay. Now, let's talk about the question. For example, question is find the domain. Now, you see what I told you, that if denominator is equal to 0, then function cannot be defined. So, what you will write here? Fx cannot be defined. Fx cannot be defined if x square minus 5x plus 4 equals to 0. Now, you see, I am not focusing here on splitting the middle term. I will not tell those things in detail because I have to consider many questions. Okay. For that, I have made another video. You can see that. So, it will be x square minus, what I am writing? It is x minus 5 times, not x minus 5, x minus 4 times x minus 1, and it will be equal to 0. So, here we will get two values of x is equal to 1 and 4. Okay. And manually also I will suggest you to check by putting this value in denominator. Just put x is equal to 1, you will see that denominator becomes 0. And again same for x is equal to 4, denominator will become 0. So, these are the two values of x which are creating problem. So, what will be the domain? Domain will be set of all real numbers except these two values. So, just remove them. I am sure you remember this type of denotation from the set theory, like a minus b. Okay. So, it means how you will read it as? You will read it as set of all real numbers except 1 and 4. Okay. Now, let's talk about this. Now, see, this is the square root function, and what I told you, fx will not be real if x minus 4 is negative. X minus 4 is negative means x is less than 4. So x is less than 4 means if you have smaller than 4, then of course you can check from here also, like you can put 3, 2, 1. So inside the square root sign you will have negative real number. So when it will be defined? It will be defined when x will be greater than or equal to 0. So its domain will be equal to 0 means closed interval, semi-closed interval 4 to infinity, like this. Okay, like this you can write the domain. Now let's talk about another example. Now you see here we have both the problems. Function is in denominator as well as it has a square root also. So fx cannot be defined or real if 1 minus x is less than or equal to 0. Why I am writing equal to 0? Because it is in denominator also. So if denominator becomes 0, then of course it will be undefined. So it means 1 is less than or equal to x. It means x is greater than or equal to 1. So if you will put x is greater than or equal to 1, then definitely it is going to be negative or 0. So its domain will be equal to, see, for greater than 1 it is not defined. So when it will be defined? When it will be less than 1. So it will be minus infinity to 1, open interval. Or you can say, what you can say here, x is less than 1. Okay, like this you can write the domain. Normally you will see this type of answer in your exams. Now this, now you see in the types of functions I have told you about this type of function. This is called modulus function or absolute value function. Okay, and just as a reminder, its value cannot be negative. So x plus absolute value of x, when it will be 0? When it will become 0? When it is negative. For example, you see, if x is equal to negative 3, so negative 3 plus absolute value of negative 3 means negative 3 plus 3, it will become 0. Okay, otherwise if it is positive, then definitely it is going to be defined. So for less than 0 and equal to 0 also it cannot be defined. So when it will be defined? When it is greater than or greater than 0. So its domain will be x greater than 0, or you can say 0 to infinity, open interval. Okay, my dear students, remember that infinity cannot be with the closed interval. Okay, it will be always with the open interval, infinity and minus infinity both. Okay, you can check the values also. For example, here I said that 0 to infinity is the domain. So it means you can put any positive value here and you will see that function will be defined. Or when I say there will be no negative value which will satisfy this function, so you can put some sorry, you can put some negative values also and you will check that for this negative number function will not be defined. Okay, let's talk about this now. Quadratic function inside the square root. So process will remain same. Fx will not be real if 4 minus x square is less than 0. Now 4 minus x square. Now there are many ways to solve this inequality. Let's finish it quickly. We can write here as a minus b into a plus b less than 0. Now from these two brackets you will get two values of x, plus 2 and minus 2. So this is, just draw a number line. I am sorry for my voice because I am suffering little from cough and cold. So this is minus 2 and this is 2. Now from minus infinity to minus 2, just take any number, say minus 3, put minus 3 here. So it will be minus, it will be minus. We are not concerned with their values. Okay, just we are concerned with the sign. So if you put minus 3, then I am sorry, it will become positive and then it will be negative. So positive times negative, it will be negative. Now minus 2 to 2, consider one number, say for example 0, put 0 here. So this value will be positive and this value will also be positive. So both will be, multiplication will be positive. Okay, and same for my plus 2 to infinity, consider any values here, maybe 3 for example. So for x is equal to 3, it will be negative and it will be positive. So negative multiply positive will be negative. So what we can see here, From minus infinity to minus 2, function is negative. From minus 2 to 2, function is positive. From 2 to infinity, function is again negative. And for negative, we have taken that function will not be defined. So where it will be defined? Where it will be positive. So it means minus 2 to 2. So its domain will be equal to closed interval minus 2 to plus 2. You can check the values also. Just put here any value between minus 2 to 2 and you must get some real numbers, okay? And if you put any value from this side or from this side, then you will see function will not be real. Rather, you will get in a negative number inside the square root sign, okay? Now, let's talk about this. What type of function is this? Just pause the video and write the function's name in the comment. Its name is greatest integer function, okay? So again, we will factorize it. So let's talk about this. It is square minus greatest integer x minus 6 less than or equal to 0 means greatest integer x minus 3 times greatest integer x plus 2 less than or equal to 0. Now you see product of two numbers is negative. I am telling you another method, okay? Product of two numbers is negative. It means one of them must be of opposite sign, means both of them must be of opposite sign. So it means either greatest integer x minus 3 will be positive and greatest integer x plus 2 will be negative, or greatest integer x minus 3 will be negative and greatest integer x plus 2 will be positive. Okay, like this. Now you see, we'll solve these inequalities and we'll get the values of x. From this, what you will get? Greatest integer x is greater than or equal to 3 and greatest integer x is greater than or equal to, less than or equal to minus 2. And from here, you will get greatest integer x is less than or equal to 3 and greatest integer x is greater than or equal to minus 2. From these common inequalities, just make the graph and see where, sorry for the inconvenience, just draw the line and see the graph where this function will be defined, and that will be the domain, okay? Now, let's talk about some trigonometric function. Process will remain same. Let it be trigonometric function, no problem. So, fx will not be real or will not be defined if 2 minus sine 3x equals to 0. Means sine 3x equals to 2, which is not possible. Which is not possible. Why it is not possible? Because maximum value of sine is 1. Okay, just for your reminder, I can write here as sine 3x will lie between minus 1 to plus 1. Okay, so its domain will be all x, means set of real numbers, or you can write like this also. Okay, because there will be no x for which the function will be undefined. Okay, my dear students, please practice some questions, and if you think that there is some problem left, then you can write in the comment. And if you think that such videos will help you to increase your knowledge, please like and subscribe my channel and share with your friends. Thank you.